Yeah, I bought these nude. They're called nude or no. There's neutral and there's nude. These ones are called nude, and like they're awful. Like there's no taste to them. They're like vodka soda with like a pinch of peach flavor.
Yeah, that's
they're like low calorie, and everybody that's on a keto diet is drinking these fucking things, and it's just like, oh, it tastes like fucking mouthwash. Like I don't know if I can finish this, but I have to because I'm stuck here with my headphones on. I'm not moving. I'm just gonna finish it. But anyway, don't buy nude unless you're on like a hardcore diet or something. There's only like 100 calories in one of these things.
That's a hot tip. That is a hot tip.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Press X, the podcast for the week of August 13th, 2018, where it's episode 28. And I'm Paul. I'm your host. This week, we've gotten rid of the guy on the island. We're all mainlanders here. And alongside me, I've got James Paley.
Yellow.
And on my other side, it's Trevor Houston.
What is up?
What is up, guys? You been having a good summer?
Well, I'm excited about this cast. I'll be honest with you. I'm looking at our docs here. We're going to talk about the IGN plagiarizer, which has been pretty much, it feels like that's the only thing everyone is talking about, which is a shame because there were 3 wonderful, brilliant gameplay trailers that were released in the last week, which we will talk about, that have me really excited that I can't wait to talk about them.
That is a very good point. There is actually news and stuff happening, not just people being dishonest.
Right.
James, how have you been? You've been a few weeks away from the cast.
I sure have. I've just been suffering the heat wave because my house isn't built with the things that fight heat waves, and it really blows. Really.
Now, I know you're capable of building a isolation box out of a Rubbermaid container. Can you construct an air conditioner out of the same materials?
Probably not. I mean, I can look up some videos on YouTube, but I have a feeling I'm going to need 6 or 7 or 70 components I don't have, and skills.
Just watch one of those videos for, the people who claim to produce cold fusion using nothing but a tennis ball and a hockey sock. I'm pretty sure this factors in somewhere.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's true. I didn't think about the need for hockey socks, and with them, you can basically build any device, simple or complex, for anything from, like, home renovation to world domination. But that's why they cost so much, Paul.
There's subtle differences between hockey socks and regular socks. That's a little bit of Canadian wisdom, viewers, listeners. Yeah, so take that however you want. You could probably achieve cold fusion using hockey socks.
Well, the secret's out.
Oh, shit, I didn't think about that.
Well, yeah, there you are. Now everybody else is going to have Canadian-style cold fusion, and we're going to get left behind in the fucking race. Somebody else is going to build all the monuments first, and we're going to lose our fucking game of Civ,
Yeah, nobody plays as Canada in Civ.
No.
Keeping the peace. Did you guys play any games?
I did. And you know what, Paul? I have to admit something. I was wrong.
Okay.
I was wrong. I played the Black Ops 4 beta last week on PS4, and if you listen to the podcast, which I hope everybody did, they didn't just download, they listened as well. They did both the things that are pretty important. You'll probably remember that I was particularly harsh on Black Ops 4. I just didn't feel that it played very well. I wasn't impressed with the changes. I wasn't impressed with anything. So I reluctantly downloaded the Xbox beta that was going on this weekend that just wrapped up this morning, which would be Monday the 13th. Yeah, it just finished up, and I loved it. I really enjoyed it. And it really might just, for me, come down to the controller. And that with the Xbox controller, I am way better at shooters than I am with the PlayStation 4 controller. I was thinking about this, and I think it really just boils down to the Xbox One has a better controller than the PlayStation 4. Fight me.
Wow.
Just fight me.
Wow.
Like, that's really probably what it boils down to. Superior controllers.
I mean, I disagree.
I was waiting for that.
I've always been a PlayStation guy, though, so I've kind of grown up on the DualShock, and the DualShock 4 is the best iteration of the DualShock, and is therefore the greatest controller in current console land.
Yeah, well, I was consistently losing with that stupid controller, Paul. Consistently losing. And I was sour last week. I was sour after playing the beta. I was like, fuck this game, fuck this controller, fuck the PlayStation 4, this sucks. This week, it was opposite. Now I'm going out there, I'm finishing top 3. My kills to death ratio was way better. It was just a better, more enjoyable experience because I was winning, and of course the controller way superior.
You know,
so I enjoyed the Blops 4 beta this weekend. I really did.
That
I'm
sounds
excited.
a lot like
Excited for the
a
game.
you problem, not a PlayStation problem.
What? What are you talking about?
Yeah, it sounds like you should be taking your anger out on the good people at Sony and their design team, you jerk.
Yeah. Well, and I think the reality is too, like over the years, I've always played Call of Duty on Xbox, and I think that makes a difference. I haven't played it as much on the PlayStation 4, so maybe that's why I struggled over there a little bit more. But hey, I was right at home with the Xbox, and I enjoyed the beta. Yeah, I mean, I think some of my comments still stand. I don't think there's enough innovation there. I think that they're gonna pour all their resources into the Battle Royale mode, which we get to see apparently next month. There'll be a beta for that next month, apparently. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I had fun, but I also had fun playing H1Z1, or is it H1Z1, or is that abbreviated for something else?
I think we're just calling it Heezy.
Yeah, Heezy or Hizzy, you know.
Hizzy?
Like,
Is that what?
It's called Hizzy.
Is it Hizzy? Is that what the kids are calling it?
Well, I don't really care about what the kids are calling it. That's what we're calling it.
That's what we're rolling with. But yeah, I mean, I had a lot of fun playing with you. Paul, you and I, we played together with Alex, and boy, I don't think did we even register a kill? I don't think we did. Maybe one kill.
You know, what I'm wondering now is, does the controller explain your performance in Hizzy as well?
Yes, absolutely. It's a PlayStation 4 beta, and I suck. So it obviously has everything to do with the controller, and not me as a gamer, as a shooter gamer.
Let me tell you what my gripe is about Hizzy. And that is that you find this miraculous, beautiful, pristine Humvee, and you load 5 dudes or dudettes into the Humvee. You can't run anyone over.
Yeah, what is up with that?
The fuck's that?
Yeah,
that's
like
garbage.
You should, like in PUBG, you can run people over and kill them. Why you can't do that in Hizzy, I don't know.
They don't have the technology. They don't have the technology. It's the poison gas.
It's weird.
But yeah, Hizzy, it seems very, very janky to me.
Oh, yeah.
And it is...
unfinished.
Yeah. It's a kind of unfinished that feels like it will never get finished.
Well, yeah, isn't PUBG technically still in like beta form? And same with Fortnite, isn't that? It's like season 5, and they're still calling it a fucking beta, aren't they?
Yes.
What?
None of these have actually seen full release.
Like, yeah, will there ever be a release date? Like, that again really doesn't make sense to me. When will we ever review the final product?
Will Fortnite fade into obscurity before it sees release? Odds are yes.
Odds are absolutely yes.
Yeah, I mean, with Pub, they just launched some fucking program where they're like, we're going to spend 3 months fixing all the things you guys think totally suck. And nothing on that roadmap is like also 1.0 release for the Xbox One or whatever. Like that's not happening.
So what version are they at? Is it like 0.99, 0.999, 0.99138?
Yeah, I mean, they could, if that's their game, they can just keep doing that forever. So.
All right. Well, let's see how many significant digits they get to before they hit 1?
Many.
Many, yeah. Trev, you play anything else?
No, that's it. Just Call of Duty and the Hizzy.
That's That's
it.
Now, James, I know you're in purgatory for something that you can't talk about, but did you happen to dabble in anything outside this main experience you're working on?
Well, he can tell everyone like what game it is. He just can't like.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I can tell you it's Dragon Quest XI: Echoes of an Elusive Age, but fuck all else. I have spent a lot of time playing it. I will spend a lot more time playing it, and it will be some time before I can tell everybody all of the things.
Now, James, is it a video game?
Yes. Paul, I can tell you that. It's a video game.
You can confirm it's a video game. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I also played Octopath because I will not stop playing Octopath until I have beaten it completely. Like all the advanced jobs and all the stories in the final dungeon and gotten all the weapons and dotted all the I's and crossed the T's and shit because I love that game so fucking hard, you guys. So hard.
Got to get all the Chivos. Oh, wait a minute. You don't have Chivos.
Yeah. Well, who cares? I have secret bosses to beat the dog shit out of and crazy combos to execute and damage ceilings to hit. So, there.
Yeah, I'm basically on the same page with you on the Octo game from Scronix.
Yeah.
Definitely nowhere near the end game, but I will continue to play it until it is complete. No matter how many days and nights it takes me.
I want to play it, but I don't want to play it. Does that make sense? Like,
no.
I just know how much of a time suck it'll be, and I just don't have the time to jump into a giant time suck. I just don't, especially with all these really killer games right around the corner, which we're going to talk about. Spider-Man, Red Dead, like there's just so many really good games that are, you know, they're peeking at me around the corner, and I can't get into a 50-hour, 100-hour experience like that right now. I can't do it.
Yeah, you say you don't have the time, but if you downloaded or bought the game, you would just make the time. You'd be
I would. Oh, that's the thing. Absolutely. Absolutely. If I bought it. If I'm taking the 60, or wait a minute, it's probably, for us Canadians, $79.99 plunge, I would absolutely play it. I'd force myself to. Even if I didn't fucking like it. I gotta get my $80 worth.
James, have you touched Dead Cells at all? I feel like that would be right up your alley.
Not yet. It looks like I love the Metroidvania gameplay style because I love both Super Metroid and Symphony of the Night. I think they're both fabulous fucking games. That roguelite shit can eat all of the dick. And like I don't throw down with that. I can't fucking stand it. I'm completely done with rogue anything as far as like genre types. Yeah. But like on the other hand, a lot of people are repping it pretty hard and they really fucking love it. So like if it goes on sale, then yeah, sure, I'll check it out.
So the nice thing about this one is that when you inevitably meet your demise, you don't feel like you've lost everything. You've still put progress towards something. Like you've probably unlocked a ruin or some kind of weapon or something like that you can put to use in your next run. So you always feel like you're progressing and making more headway in the dungeon. Plus it feels a lot like old school Castlevania, Mega Man kind of gameplay. So yeah, it's very combat focused.
That might be enough to sway me. Like if the moment to moment combat is good enough, then I probably would be able to look past the rogue play.
Yeah, it's pretty fantastic. But right. That said, I didn't really play it this week.
Oh, well.
What I did play, besides the Heezy, is No Man's Sky.
Yes, I saw you playing that. I did. And?
Well, I completely avoided it when it first came out because I wanted it so bad and I wanted it to be the thing that I needed it to be, but it wasn't at the time. so I didn't play it, but now I have, and it's pretty all right. It's pretty all right.
It's not bad. That's better than pretty okay. I
Yeah.
feel like pretty all right is better than pretty okay.
Yeah, if you're looking for, I think this was kind of the sentiment when it came out too, but if you're looking for something to just kind of sit back and relax and, kind of point your spaceship in a direction and fly around, it is pretty good for that. It's very pretty. But the performance is awful? It's awful. Like I've got
Even still.
Yeah, I've got a PS4 Pro and it's pretty chunky.
Really?
It's pretty bad. Mm-hmm.
Do you know if it runs any better on PC? Like, is that?
Oh, I'm sure you
for it?
could brute force your way through it on PC. Yeah, I felt like it was more of a couch experience for me.
Ah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the other thing I played was We Happy Few.
Okay.
And the reviews coming in are, well, less than stellar.
I would say they're mixed. My personal opinion is more that the game is not good.
Oh,
it is not very good. Yeah.
Well, what's not very good about it?
It does have an interesting setting, and I think the setup for the narrative is pretty good. However, the moment-to-moment playing of the game is bad. It is bad because the whole thing is procedurally generated, so most of the areas are completely devoid of anything to do, so you end up just running end to end, going from place to place, but don't really feel like you're making any progress. And it takes a lot of time, which is important in a survival game because you spend almost all of your time managing meters. It's not the kind of oppressive that I think anyone is looking for in a survival game. Sometimes you're looking to manage those meters and you want to, feel like you're beating the elements and you're beating the game, but in this it just feels like it is discouraging you from discovering or exploring the land and meeting the characters. And even if you do meet all the characters, all the side quests are all fetch quests, and it's pretty low rent, which is it's very disappointing. Very disappointing.
It is disappointing because that was one of the games that when we saw it, I guess 2 E3s ago, I want to say, yeah, we were all pretty excited. At least all of us that were sitting in that press conference, we were all pretty excited for that one. So it's kind of disappointing. Here we are a year and a bit later, and we're like, it's just not that great.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, all the things that looked enticing in that original trailer are enticing. It's the trappings all around it and the things that they make you do to get to those things that are not good. So I would not recommend We Happy Few. However, you can read our full review on our website, which is it's something. What is it, Trev?
I was really hoping you'd step up and do it and get it and nail it. It is COGconnected.com. Yeah, Patrick had his review. It went live today actually, and he scored it a respectable 70 out of 100. Yeah, but he just wasn't that thrilled about it. He felt that there were a lot of good components there, but overall it was just so for him. I didn't think that he was really terribly excited about the experience. But yes, read the full review on COGconnected.com. That's COGconnected on Twitter, COGconnected on Instagram, COGconnected on YouTube. I'm your company man.
Bingo. And that's it. That's all I played.
Okay.
That's it. You know what did happen this week? We alluded to it. And that
Poor
is...
Philip. Poor Philip.
No, there is no Philip. There is no poor Philip. Philip Mewson, former IGN Nintendo editor, plagiarized his Dead Cells review a couple weeks ago. And believe it or not, that's not a good thing to do. And he got shit canned. And rightfully so. But more interestingly, he posted what I'm calling in air quotes an apology video in which he didn't actually apologize for anything, took no responsibility for his actions, and threw shade on the entire video game review industry by trying to make it sound like things happen that do not happen.
Yeah, like if you're going to make a video like that, do not challenge people to go through and especially Kotaku, do not challenge Kotaku to like, hey Kotaku, hey everyone, just go see if I've done this before. Go through all my other reviews. Hey internet, go through everything I've ever written and see if I've ever plagiarized anything other than this review. Yeah, and the internet fought back, and there's all sorts of stuff that he's potentially plagiarized.
I have,
oh boy,
yeah, I have read the offending reviews, and they're pretty damning. So the ones that have been found are his FIFA 18 review and a review of Metroid. It escapes me. The last one that came out, whatever the last one was.
Samus Returns.
That's the one.
Okay. So correct me if I'm wrong, but for the FIFA review, the review he took copy from was not for FIFA. Is that? I feel like I've read that where they put the two text blocks side by side, and it was like two different games.
They were both FIFA 18.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what's important to note is that plagiarism in its definition is not just stealing word for word content from somebody else who's written it. Plagiarism in general means that you have taken the ideas or the words of someone else without giving them credit. So even if you do the high school thing where you take somebody's ideas and you rearrange the words, that's still plagiarism. So, Philip, you plagiarized, buddy. You plagiarized real bad.
Yeah, go ahead, James.
I was going to say, it does seem almost like suicidally unwise, career-wise, to go out in public and pick the two most vengeful, vindictive, dogged, dedicated entities, aka Kotaku and the internet, to seek out further evidence of your fuck-upitude, because he had to know. It's either he had to know they were going to find something and turn this garbage fire into something that needed government intervention, or he legitimately doesn't understand what plagiarism is, which, based on what you've described about the quote unquote apology video, maybe he doesn't.
I do know this. If you're anyone on the internet, one thing you do not do is challenge Kotaku to try to get more clicks. They love clicks. They would love to find more plagiarism that you've done. So,
I know I've often considered them like the TMZ of the gaming industry, just the way.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah, anything sensational. I mean, one of their editors calling it like the biggest story of the year. It's just like, okay, well, it's a big story, and for sure, and it shatters. It certainly does feel like a betrayal. Like, I understand, especially all the IGN fans out there, and especially the fans that perhaps followed Philip. I understand that he was a YouTuber before he even joined IGN, so he probably had a YouTube following as well. I don't know. This is just what I hear. So it's probably a lot of his fans, a lot of the IGN readers feel a sense of betrayal, which I absolutely get. I mean, I think of a situation, as many people know, I used to be a parole officer, and there used to be a group of us that used to hang out, and we were a group of parole officers. We used to hang out. And then we all sort of went on our merry ways. You have families and whatnot, and you go to different institutions. Well, I had heard that one person in our circle had developed a relationship with an inmate and was subsequently let go. Our workforce let this person go. They let her walk. They didn't fire her. They kind of gave her a choice. They're like, okay, well, we're going to fire you or you're going to walk. She decided to walk. and she went on to live happily ever after, from what I understand, with this offender who's, I gather, is out in the community now, or whatever the story is. But all of us who were previously friends with her felt a sense of betrayal, like the trust had been gone. So I think that's kind of what's going on here as well, is that trust that people had in Philip, or even IGN for that matter. I think it's shattered a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why this story in particular, people are really latching onto it.
And one of the important things to remember is that this doesn't just go away for IGN because they've retracted the article and apologized and, you know, done all the things that they had to do. Like, their reputation as a site that gets millions upon millions upon millions of views every month,
right,
their reputation has been damaged, and it
Absolutely.
will continue to be damaged regardless of how they've handled it. And they handled it extremely well, especially IGN's review editor, Dan Stapleton. He was a true pro about it. So I think they did everything they could. It's just too bad that somebody thought they could get away with it and ruin the fun for everybody.
And every single review that goes live on IGN, people are just going to like be looking for every little thing that might have similarities with something, right? Like, I mean, yeah, I feel sorry for, I feel sorry for a lot of the hardworking staff at IGN that may be hurt in some way because of this.
Mm-hmm. One thing I'd like to bring up, which was in Philip's apology video, which he has since taken down because I find this quite amusing. He, as somebody who is supposedly humble and begging for forgiveness, he actually monetized that video. So it had ads on his apology video. But anyways, he's taken it down since, but...
Boomstick, at the same time, Boomstick Gaming also monetized their video where it's like, oh, this guy, IGN, plagiarized my review. I don't know what to do. Like, you know, so I mean, and that video I think's got over 1 million views.
Yeah.
Which, you know, good
well
enough.
Over.
Well, yeah, he's that video's doing well. He's had a payday there, no doubt, for a review that, you know, that strangely went live before every other review, but I'll set that issue aside. But yeah, I mean, at the same time, you know, we live in such a society, in such a world where, you know, people can't deal with things privately. People can't just go to, you know, say IGN, send them an email, make a phone call, something. They got to blast a YouTube video for it to explode like this. And hey, good on Boomstick. Their subs have gone up 100 times, 200 times, and they're doing really well for this. Good for him.
And just to take it back to Philip for a second, one of the things he said in that apology video was to describe his review process, which is to find as much content and as many takes as possible before writing his own critical opinion, which is absolutely 100% not the way to write a review, not the way we write reviews at COG, and definitely not the way they write reviews at IGN either. When you're writing a review, which... To break it down to its bare bones, it's one of the easiest things you can do because you just have to play a game and then you have to have some thoughts about it. And all you need to do is write those thoughts down in a vacuum without looking at anybody else's reviews, without talking to anyone about the game, because it needs to be yours. It needs to be your review, not an aggregate. You want an aggregate, you go to Metacritic. If you want a review, you go to a specific site and read somebody's take. So there's my soapbox.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll sometimes, and you guys have both seen this, you know, we'll sometimes get these like massive review guides from publishers, which are wonderful, especially when you're reviewing, say, the latest Madden, and you want to know about the 1,000 different changes they made to the game this year compared to last year. And if you were a dev, perhaps you don't notice some of these changes. So historically, EA Sports will send us, like, here's the new Madden game for review. Oh, and here's a review guide that'll tell you about the different controls and the new animations and the new real motion tech, yada, yada, yada. So, I mean, yeah, you're going to refer to these things, but at the end of the day, absolutely, the review has to be yours, your opinion, your objective opinion. And if you're getting all these hot takes beforehand and all these input and opinions from everybody, how is that objective?
Yeah, just that information, even if it doesn't place everything this guy's done in the realm of plagiarism, it definitely knocks down the quality of his writing, because you already know going in, oh, this is like his opinion, which is actually just an aggregate of everybody else's opinion that he's kind of like decided to agree or not agree with. But I mean, like, just that information alone, it's like, well, maybe they weren't plagiarized, but they're really bad.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's interesting the way the whole thing's played out. I mean, I feel that some people, especially people in our industry, have, you know, unfairly piled on and have really like just jumped on Philip's grave. I mean, yeah, he didn't do himself any favors with that YouTube video, and I'm not defending him in any way. But his career reputation in this industry is finished. He's gonna have to probably get out of journalism altogether. Like, I don't know what he's gonna do from here, but he's just toast.
Yeah, I don't think there's any coming back.
No, I don't think there is.
But anyways, on that happy note, why don't we move on to some of the other cool stuff that happened this week?
Yeah, fun stuff.
Doom revealed some gameplay. That was hot to death.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
As I'm watching it, I'm like, okay, first of all, this guy's fucking amazing. And I'm like, of course he is. It's one of the devs playing it. Like, I know if I was playing those particular levels that we saw in the gameplay reveal, which I think they showed at QuakeCon, I think.
Yep, That's the one.
Which looked incredible. Like, it looks like I can't wait to jump into it. But I know I would seriously struggle in some of those components, because that dev was badass with those with that shotgun and that and all the other gadgets he was using to blow away enemies in a gruesome fashion.
I really liked how they highlighted how many more finishers there are. Like when they're doing, you know, the bad guy starts flashing and you hit R3 or whatever it is to finish him off and get your health pickups and all that stuff. I loved how much more there was of that. It was kind of repetitive in the first Doom, but in this, I don't know that I saw the same one twice. So it looks pretty rad. Hell on Earth really looks like my cup of tea.
I mean, yeah, when that Doom music starts playing, you're like, oh fuck yeah, this is great. Yeah. And then it's just like, it's just hyper killing, like sprinting around and killing as many enemies in as many ways as possible, you know, ripping out their heart, jamming it down his throat, and it blows up. And yeah, it's just so cool. It is really, really cool. And I love how we got to see quite a bit of gameplay. And of course, there's a link on COGconnected where you can see all this stuff. Yeah, and if you're even like a casual Doom fan, check it out.
Even a shooter fan in general, it's yeah, it's a pretty good video. It's pretty good.
I had like no strong feelings about the next Doom until I watched this like 6 or 7 minutes of gameplay, and it's like, it's coming out soon, right? Really soon, like really fucking right. Soon, please.
It looks almost done. I mean, I know these things are always like specifically designed for these demos and these reveals, but man, it looks so good and so polished. What we saw.
Mm-hmm. How about right at the end when the key or whatever that is like turns into a sword?
Oh right, yes, at the very end with the.
It's like, oh yeah, it's a laser sword. I think Doom Eternal with a laser sword. Yeah, this sounds like something I need in my life.
Yeah, it's when is that coming out? Do we know? Do we have a release date?
I think it's next year.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Gotta be next year.
I really want to play that.
I can't believe that the first one came out in 2016. Like, that was quite a while ago.
Yeah.
But man, it sure holds up good. I was playing it the other day. It's on the X1 Game Pass now. Sure holds up good.
Well, have you guys played it on the Switch? I've been meaning to do that. I have not played it on the Switch yet.
I have not, no.
Yeah, I hear reasonably good things, but like, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of off my radar. For me, like, it's if I'm gonna play it again, I'm just gonna want to do so on the optimal system for it. And like, to me, the Switch version is one of those things where it's great for people who don't have that option, but if you do, I can't imagine why you'd take it.
Yeah, there's a limitation to how hard you can jam out to that soundtrack playing it on a Switch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like limitations when it comes to Doom.
That's true.
Yeah, so that's Doom. Also, this week, just came out today, is the final? I guess they said it's final. The final Spider-Man trailer.
Oh, yeah.
Which looks very, very sharp indeed.
We are less than 1 month away from that one.
Yep, September 7th. That is coming up quick.
Well, yeah, and you and I, Paul, we played it at E3, and I think both of us, we loved it. I mean, I felt that the web slinging, which was my biggest concern, was tight, and it was fluid, and it felt fantastic. If there was anything I wanted this Spider-Man to get right, it was the web slinging, because I knew that the story would be there, and the characters would be there, and the animations. You kind of just knew that would all be in place, but the web slinging, that's a tough one to master, especially for a team, taking their first stab at a Spider-Man game. And it feels great. The combat is wonderful. I'm super pumped about this game. I mean, there is Red Dead 2, which is probably going to be the biggest game of this year. God of War will be up there, but Spider-Man will absolutely be right up there as one of the top games of 2018. I feel it.
I wasn't actually that hyped about Spider-Man going into E3 this year. I'd watched all the trailers and it looks good, but after playing it, oh baby, it is smooth. It is slick. The one thing I take umbrance with this trailer is it says gameplay launch trailer, and there's no gameplay.
Yeah, it's pretty,
It's cutscene. Yeah. I mean, the actual game does look that good. But this is not gameplay. This is cutscenes. Anyways.
Yeah.
That's kind of neither here nor there. Yeah. Should we talk about Red Dead? Gameplay video?
That gameplay trailer came out, last week? And it was, a 6-7 minute trailer that, again, it seems like everything that we've seen this week looked incredible. Absolutely stunning. The characters, the animations, the environments are just breathtaking. Now, I know the trailer was in 4K, the best resolution and all that stuff. Of course, it's obviously going to be presented. But man, if that is, and apparently it is, that's all in-game footage we see in that reveal. Man, that looks fucking incredible.
Yeah, you can kind of tell the way the animations are that's definitely game footage, in-engine or whatever, because there's I don't know, there's just something about the way the models move. You're like, okay, yeah, that's gameplay, but it barely looks like gameplay. It mostly just looks fucking dope.
Yeah, there are a few points where the camera kind of pulls back a little bit and you see the mini map pop up in the corner. And games have faked that in the past, but this looks pretty real. And some of those vistas, my God.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like they've had years to get this so right. Everything else they've been developing and perfecting with Grand Theft Auto 5, which has been getting just constant content updates. They've had a long time to make their engine work as good as they can possibly make it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Grand Theft, and I read that article you posted today, James, about how Grand Theft Auto 5 is still the number one selling game for PlayStation digital sales. Was that what it was?
Yeah, it's it was number one in June and number one in July.
And it was released 5 years ago. What? How does this consistently sell the way it does? And it's 5 years old. That's incredible to me.
I think anytime they bring back or they do a new content drop, they had a whole advertising blitz for that nightlife one they just released for GTA 5. And I think just people see that and oh shit, I gotta go grab that or the updated super hot version for like PS4 or whatever. And then that like boosts the overall sales. Because strictly speaking, the game is available for like 5 consoles counting PC. So yeah, it's pretty. But yeah, the top selling numbers was just for PS4, just in June and July, and they absolutely killed it.
You know what I find amazing about that is, well, not that specifically, but GTA 5 in general, is that people don't seem to have a problem with that paid currency.
Not at all.
The online bucks or whatever it is called.
Not at all.
But I guess that's just a function of how much content is in there for free, and people just feel like doling it out. It's not that they, feel that they need to or they have to, but that they want to.
I think they realize that, if we keep pumping out the content like this, people will keep, they'll bring in new people, new gamers that will buy the game and experience it for themselves because of the way they support it. Like, they just haven't let they are still pedal to the metal supporting this thing 5 years. Like, I'm curious how long they're going to keep supporting it for.
Probably to like GTA 6.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, probably.
Why, if GTA 5 is selling as much as it is now, why rush GTA 6 at all? Like, they could take their sweet ass time on that.
You could argue that they already have.
That's a good point.
It is. Yes, that's a good point. Well, same with Red Dead. Well, when did the original Red Dead? I mean, it's been at least eight years since that one.
Oh God,
yeah. I think so.
Yeah, I think that was like 08, 09.
Yeah, I mean, you got to hand it to them. They don't get. Rockstar doesn't seem to feel compelled to jump into the yearly or even like every second year cycle for their franchises. They're like, it's going to come out when it's ready and it's going to be fucking amazing, blow you away. We're going to sell shitloads of it and you people are going to keep buying it 5 years later.
You know what's kind of amazing to me about Rockstar is that not only do they not throw down with the yearly release demands, but the entire conference convention circuit where it's like, this is the time, this is the event to push your game. They could give a fuck.
Nope.
It's like, we'll tell you about it on our own time, just on like our YouTube channel whenever we fucking feel like it. And it's still going to absolutely annihilate in sales. Like, I still remember when GTA 5 came out and that motherfucker cleared like $1 billion in revenue in a very short period of time.
Yeah, they just do things their own way. Walk to the beat of their own drum, and, well, hey, why question them? It's worked out for them. Like, it really has.
Yeah, you're not kidding about the no presence at trade shows, James. At E3 this year, Take-Two's booth consisted of a Japanese garden.
Yeah, well, that's it. And it was just for business meetings, really. Yeah. That's it.
You like come in and chat with some PR people if you've got an appointment, but they're showing literally nothing. There's not even a screen in there.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Which is such a badass thing to do.
It really is. They're kind of like the badass on the block, and they're like, fuck everyone else. We will do things on our terms when we're ready.
Yeah. Until they blow a product or, something is truly bad, which I don't see happening. I mean, they're just going to keep rolling.
They're almost like the Godfather sitting in the corner of the room, and like they just kind of call the shots. They sit back, call the shots, and do things on their own whenever they feel like it.
Yeah, just almost daring people. Yeah, you can release on the same day as us. We don't mind. I dare you. Come on.
Yeah, hey, Call of Duty, I know you like to release your game like early November. Yeah, you're just gonna have to move that because we're coming in. We're taking your time slot, Call of Duty. And look, Call of Duty moved their release date.
Oh man,
that's like a show big enough comes into the lineup that Seinfeld loses its time slot. Like it gets bumped to the next day. Like that, it just wouldn't happen, but it does happen, and happens every 5 years when a Rockstar game comes out.
yeah, like Call of Duty historically comes out. Oh, and I don't want to be wrong about this, and I mean, sure, a listener will probably correct me, but it usually comes out the first week of November, around like the 10th, 11th, 12th. Like it always comes out the first week of November. This is the first year since I can remember Call of Duty is not coming out at its regular time slot. It's coming out early October, before Red Dead.
They have to. They have to. It's
or
pretty
they get crushed like a grape.
Yeah. Unless
Basically.
you're like a niche title, you're not coming out after October 26th and doing big numbers. You know, unless you're a Smash or a Darksiders 3 like we talked about last week, you're gonna fall into the Red Dead hole and you're gonna sell no copies. And that's gonna be very sad for you.
Hey, speaking about games not being too worried about competition, we do have another bit of news where the guy who's directing the newest Tomb Raiders says they're not like at all worried about coming out the same time as Spider-Man.
Is he trying to convince us or himself?
It might be himself.
Like, how can you not be worried about Spider-Man? Like they're coming out on the exact same date, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no. Shadow of the Tomb Raider comes out on September 14th, just a week after Spider-Man. So
14th.
Yeah. So not necessarily like doomed or whatever, but like it's not ideal.
Well, as Paul and I had chatted about this earlier, and as Paul pointed out, I mean, Tomb Raider is multi-platform, so it does have that going in its favor. But, I mean, PlayStation fans are going to want to snap up Spider-Man, and I feel that there's a lot more excitement for Spider-Man, especially when I look at the traffic for Spider-Man articles versus Tomb Raider articles. People are really eating up any little dribs and drabs of information of Spider-Man that they can get, and they're not too concerned about Tomb Raider.
Well,
I feel like the excitement's not quite there for Tomb Raider like it is for Spider-Man.
I think part of that might be, like, I don't know, I'm just talking on my ass here. I think part of that might be the fact that we haven't had a really great Spider-Man game in a long time, whereas Tomb Raider has been pretty consistent for the last few entries.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, they've been good, they'll keep being good, but like, holy shit, guys, I actually can't remember clearly the last time we had a really amazing Spider-Man game.
Long time.
Yeah.
Is this the same Tomb Raider director that tried to say definitively that The Last of Us 2 animations were canned or not real? It was pre-rendered?
Oh, I wonder. Yeah, maybe. He's like a rogue dev.
Yeah.
says whatever's on his mind. God, those devs make for great articles, though. Keep it up,
yeah.
Tomb Raider guy.
Yeah, I mean, keep saying whatever comes into your head, you know.
Yeah. Sorry, what did you say again? Wait, let me embed that tweet.
Is it possible I'm not worried about Spider-Man is a mistranslation?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, apparently this was something that he told us directly, according to the article. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know when that happened, but apparently he tells COG, so yeah, I'm not exactly that. I'm not worried about Spider-Man.
Yeah, somebody was at an event. Were they not? Trev?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yes, Mario. Mario was at
the event.
Yeah, he was at an event a few weeks ago.
Wow, that
Where
sounds like a slip of the tongue then.
Yeah, he played 4-5 hours of the game. He played a quite a large chunk of the game.
Big chunk.
And yeah, I mean, to me it looked great. I'm going to get it. I'm definitely going to pick it up. But I'll pick it up after I played Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to play Spider-Man first.
Yep, get Spider-Man done. Get Tomb Raider out of the way before October. Yeah, that's the way to do her. Yeah, that's pretty much all the news we got this week.
Yeah, I think that pretty much is it, isn't it?
Yeah.
We talked about Doom. Yeah, pretty much it, yeah.
So
yeah, I mean there was that story about Bethesda blocking the secondhand resale of a game.
Oh yeah.
Which was a weird story. Like, I don't quite understand it. Like, why they would block somebody selling a used copy of the game. Like, is that kind of what happened
Well,
there?
the thing is, he was trying to sell it as new when he had already purchased it.
Okay.
So the thing about trying to sell it as new after it's not new is that Bethesda would technically need to get a cut of that sale, which they wouldn't.
I see.
Yeah.
Because when this story broke out, people were like, kind of lost their mind. They're like, what? Bethesda can't stop the sale of secondhand, like, copies. Like, this is ridiculous. Rah, rah, rah. Of course, people jump into conclusions, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that does make some sense to me.
Yeah, turns out in some circumstances they can do exactly that.
Yeah, I think in the end of the day, it's not a big deal because all the guy had to do was mark it as used. And
Yeah.
that's it. Even though it was sealed.
Problem solved.
Yeah. Let's talk about the releases of the week.
The dog days of summer and the releases.
Yeah, it really is. The most noteworthy is the final season of The Walking Dead, the Telltale series, on yesterday, August the 14th.
Which, again, on COGconnected.com, our review went live at embargo. And Patrick, once again, he's been a beast. He's off for the summer, right? So he gets to play all these games and that we just don't have time for. So he's been a reviewing beast lately. And yeah, he reviewed the final season. And he loved it. He gave episode 1 an 88.
Nice.
Yeah, that's encouraging. I think I will jump into the final season.
How old is Clementine now?
63.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Based on her aging rate, as she was, I don't know, 6 or 7 in the first season, and then looks like she's 15 in the second season, and, I don't know. Suspicious age scales.
Yeah, I mean, if this one can, like, tug on my emotions and really suck me in as far as the characters are concerned and have some of those moments where you're like, oh my god, what do I do here? Yeah, I'm excited to play. I'm excited to play the final season.
Yeah, I hope they bring it back to where the first season was. I think they got...
Now, if only the fucking show would be in the final season, now that would be another story. I'm done with that show.
I think
it'd be great if that could end at some point.
I think arguably the final season was several seasons ago.
Oh, it's just a slog to get through now.
After they left the prison, I was out. Like, no more. No more. Yeah. But there are a couple other things coming out this week, one of which is Death's Gambit. It's an Adult Swim game coming to PS4 and PC yesterday. Anybody know what this is?
It's a side-scrolling kind of pixel art thing that looks really fucking metal, like the cover of an old brutal metal fantasy fucking album. Like, I was tempted to like request or try to cover it this month before I got into the like Dragon Quest slog.
Holy shit, this looks cool.
Right?
Oh my god. It looks awesome.
It looks really fucking rad. Like just like a super metal game, like where you use crazy weapons and fight crazy monsters and like brutally difficult and just...
Oh, damn, Trev, you gonna live?
Yeah. I'm having a sneezing attack over here. My nose is running. My eyes are like, I don't know what's going on. It's this fucking Palm Bay vodka soda. It's too fruity for my liking, and then I think I'm having a reaction. No, I'm okay. I just gotta get myself together here.
Just find your bearings, buddy. You can do this. You got this.
But hey, we will be getting that game for review for the site, but just not before release, because release is tomorrow.
Yesterday. Yeah. Release is yesterday.
Yes, it was released yesterday.
But yeah, there's all kinds of like baddies that are 10, 20 characters tall? At least? This looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
Damn. The D in death is a scythe. So you know how metal this is. And the other noteworthy thing is Phantom Doctrine, which is on everything.
That's another one that I wanted to put on my list before the Dragon Quest explosion that's taken over my entire month of August.
It's like an espionage thing, right?
Yeah, it's like a turn-based strategy game, like an XCOM type thing that takes place during the Cold War. Ooh. So you play a spy in a spy versus spy situation, and it looks pretty dope, actually.
Oh, this is reminding me a lot of Invisible Ink, which...
Yeah, that'd be another good comparison.
Which I strong-armed onto our Game of the Year list a couple years ago. As my write-in example that no one had played it, so they couldn't tell me that I was wrong. So
we're like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. Oh, right on. Okay.
It's a very, very cool game. But yes, this looks awesome. Do we have a reviewer for that, Trev?
We do. I believe Lillian is on that, and she should be submitting her review any day now. Any day. So yeah, that one should be live on the site. Hopefully by the time everybody's listening to this podcast.
Wow.
Hopefully. I think she's reviewing it on PC as well. Yeah.
Well, very good. Well done, whoever put this little mini list together, because those are 3 really cool looking things.
Yeah.
That is my way of saying it wasn't me.
That was all I could come up with for the releases, which of course I just take them from James's. James is on top of all our releases for every month. So yes, thank you for doing that, James. It is very much appreciated that you're on top of the releases.
Y'all.
Right, let's move on. We got an email. And, that's exciting. We get email every week, but this one sounded interesting. It sounded like it was worth discussing here on the cast. So, this one comes in from John, who says, I have recently played a remake of a game I've never played, Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey, and it is the ideal version of the game with extra content, demons, endings, and mechanics. Absolutely loved it. My question is, what's your favorite remake? And I mean remake, not remaster, with extra content and overall improvement of the initial product. Personal favorite of mine will always be Persona 4 Golden. This is a tough question.
Oh.
This is a tough question.
Because where's the line between remake and remaster?
I think generally, like for example, when they did like Final Fantasy 12, the Zodiac Age, that was definitely a remaster because it's just like the same game basically, but with an upscaled, hot like graphical overhaul.
Hey, you could fast forward the game though.
Yeah, still not a remake, but it was good.
I mean, does the Halo collection count as a remake? Or is that more of a remaster? Because I did enjoy going back to that.
I'm calling that a remaster.
Yeah, like not enough new content, mostly just a really shiny new coat of paint, which again, greatly appreciated when it's done right, but like, I don't know.
So my question here is, do games that were completely recoded but ended up kind of looking and playing the same or having the same vibe, does that count as a remake? Because it's technically been recoded from scratch.
It's hard to say. Like, if it's like completely new code and there's new features, then I think you could call that a remake. Like, if they add a whole bunch of new shit to the game, as well as like build it from the ground up for a new generation of systems, then I could call that a remake.
All right, in that case, I'm going with Shadow of the Colossus because they recoded it and they added a photo mode.
A photo mode.
Hey, it's a game changer. I have so many photos from that game. Is it because it? Okay. I mean, it's a really nice looking game, but they had a really good photo mode. Really good.
This would actually make a really good perfect list. Give us time to like think about it, come up with some really good remakes that really resonated with us. Because I think of a game like I'm like, oh, Last of Us, that was remake. Oh no, that was a remaster. All these games I'm thinking of are actually remasters.
Are you suggesting this be the perfect list this week? Because I don't know if 5 minutes is enough time to come up with.
Yeah, no, that's a...
Yeah, I can't even think of like one that was actually like really good.
I've been coming up with remasters. I've yet to find a remake that I really have to think about that.
What about Secret of Mana, James?
It was definitely not my favorite. I don't even know if it would crack the top 10, and I can't even think of 10 remakes.
Way down the list. Secret of Mana.
Hey, you know what was a really fucking awesome remake was Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green.
Ooh.
Because they like bumped the graphics and added like 7 extra islands and like the upgraded like capture and combat mechanics for the Game Boy Advance generation. And it's really fucking good. And like it's harder and it takes more time, and like certain monsters that you want to go out and grab, it's a lot more like involved and a lot more of an epic journey to get to. Or like, yeah, the Pokemon games do really good remakes, like Heart Gold and Soul Silver, because like Gold was already a great game that like included 2 entire maps for playing, and then they had all this fucking extra stuff they threw in just to like make it feel like a worthy purchase. As far as like other franchises that have done really badass remakes, it's kind of hard to say.
Doom. There's one.
Hey, that's true. You know what? That's true. It's got
Doom.
the same name.
That would be my pick.
Yeah.
That's a really good point, actually. Huh.
2016. Yeah, that's a remake.
Huh. Okay. Well, in that case, I'm gonna go with Ratchet and Clank.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. Same title, just way better. Way better.
And shinier. More than just a coat of paint.
Oh, much more. Yeah. That was a fantastic and underappreciated title. Thank you, Insomniac.
Definitely.
And hopefully Spider-Man will be fantastic and not underappreciated.
I don't think so. I think that'll live up to expectations.
I think you're right.
I really do.
I think you're right. Yeah. So thanks for the question, John. We will probably roll that into a list at some point and
for sure.
See if we can come up with some really weird ones for you. But that does in fact mean that it's time for this week's perfect list.
Oh boy.
Absolutely perfect.
Don't everyone get so excited all at once.
Hey, I'm fucking jazzed, okay? This is a great topic. It's near and dear to my heart. I have strong personal feelings about it. I'm fucking ready.
Is it 10 things Philip should have said in his apology video? Is that what we're going to come up with? 10 things Philip should have said?
Well, that would have been
one of the things?
That would have been a really easy list to make. It is kind of in that vein, though. We're gonna go with 10 things that people who write video game reviews should know, or 10 tips for people when they're trying to review a video game.
Right, and this could work for people that, if they're thinking about getting into writing about video games and writing reviews, this list could help them as well, right?
Absolutely. And also people who maybe have been in the industry for a really long time and have possibly forgotten how to best review a video game. So,
right.
Those people, because they listen to this podcast, they should also take note.
They absolutely should.
Well, between the three of us, we've reviewed 5,500,000 reviews between the three of us. Like we've got a lot of reviews under our belt. So if anybody can give some mediocre advice, that's us three.
Oh, yeah.
And that's all we're going for here. Mediocre.
10 perfectly mediocre tips for video game reviewers. Perfect. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
All right.
Tip number 1.
Tip number 1, as when you're doing your video game review,
Don't plagiarize.
Yeah, well, let's leave that for later in the list.
Oh, okay.
But, I mean, it relates to that. Tip number 1 is to go in cold. It's really, really, really important, and it's something I practice very strenuously. Is that when I get a game to cover, I don't read fucking anything about it until I've actually finished my review, and then I'll submit it, and then the next day when they all go live, then I'm reading everybody to see how we differed, or what I said or thought that was replicated literally nowhere else, which happens a lot. But not before that. Not before that. If it hasn't gone live or I'm not done, then the internet on that subject has nothing to say about it to me.
That's one of the most interesting things about writing reviews is waiting for embargo time and then reading everybody else's take on it and seeing what stuff they picked up on or latched onto that maybe you noticed but didn't think was important, or just seeing how your video gaming history carried you through a review and how that brought you to the end of your end score. Interesting stuff. Good one, James.
Yeah, I always find it incredibly fascinating when that embargo lifts. Man, I'm seeing how my review stacked up compared to other reviews, and there's been times where I've published a review where we've been significantly lower than the average, and there's been times where we're significantly higher than the average, and so I'm always curious to see what other sites, especially the big guns out there, who we consider the big guns, the GameSpots, the IGNs, always curious to see how they weigh in on a particular game, because they usually have they usually have it well before us. So yeah, I'm always curious to see what the pros have to say, and then of course all the other sites like us. So it's always an interesting thing to take a look at when embargoes lift.
Number 2, Trevor.
You want to come to me? All right, I will say, I think my tip will be get to the point. And I find, especially with new writers, they will submit these 3,000 word epic reviews, which nobody reads. I think that if you're getting into the business of writing video game reviews, and especially with some of those other sites, especially print have hard word counts, and there is zero leniency. You cannot get over their word count. So, and with us, I tell writers, it all depends on the game. Some games warrant longer reviews. But yeah, get to the point. We don't need to hear about every single nuance in the game, every little weapon, every little upgrade, every little sort of thing that explains the game in detail. You don't need to do that. Just take some of those big hit items, those big items in the review, talk about those, and get to the point. Be, summarize, concise, and move on.
For those interested about how long reviews actually are, reviews on COG, if it's a shorter game, not too much in the way of story, you're probably sitting somewhere in the 700 to 800 words range. And for something that's a big, giant, meaty product, we try to go no bigger than 1,1300.
Yeah. There's always exceptions, right? And
yeah,
sometimes writers will submit their review and they'll feel particularly passionate about I really need to explain the story, or I really need to explain this one element that I find with me, it really defined my experience for me. Well, I'm not going to hack that out. I'm not going to say, no, it needs to come out. If they feel really strongly that something needs to be left in and they want to share that, then share it. But as a rule of thumb, yeah, simple Simple, concise, and to the point is always the way to go.
Bingo. My first tip, which is tip number 3 on this list, is to take some fucking notes. The worst thing you can possibly do when you're reviewing a game is to start out and just dive in like you're playing the game to play it. That is a terrible, terrible idea. Take notes immediately, all the time. You got to be pausing all the time, coming up with every single thing that you notice about the game. If you notice that the trees look like shit, write down that the trees look like shit. If you notice that the control has a bit of a delay, you got to write that down. You got to type it out into your Google Doc or whatever you're using. Take notes and take a lot of them. You'll be thankful.
Yeah, I don't really do that most of the time, and now I feel bad. Now I'm like, man, I should be taking more notes.
You got a mind like a steel trap, James. It's all in there. All the data. You're like a supercomputer. You're like Kit from Knight Rider in video game form.
I find I tend to do that with games that are outside my comfort zone now. I don't review as much as I used to. But in the days where I'd be reviewing like a game every week or even 2 games sometimes in a week, yeah, I mean, if say, for instance, I had to review a game like Dead Cells, I would have my notepad beside me taking notes with every little thing. But other games with like Madden, where I'm very familiar with the franchise, I might have played the beta. Like I've known Madden inside and out. I've played it year after year after year. I probably don't take many, if any, notes. But yeah, something a little bit outside my comfort zone, something that's brand new. Oh yeah, I'm taking notes.
Yep.
Good tip.
Yeah, excellent tip.
Number 4, Mr. Paley.
My next tip will be kind of related to that. I don't necessarily take a lot of notes. However, if something really stands out to me, for good or for ill, about the game, that tends to be what I focus on in my review. So for me, tip number 4 is to focus on what matters to you. Like if it doesn't even register, like if you haven't thought about the fucking sound design or whatever at all during your playtime, then there's no need to mention it. But if you can't stop like bitching to whoever will listen about the control scheme or the convoluted menu system, or like you can't stop praising the fucking incredible art style, then yes, by all means, take some time and get into that. But if it doesn't matter, don't even bring it up.
It's a really good point. Really good. A lot of times when you're reading reviews from people who haven't done a bunch, or that's basically the case. People who haven't done a bunch of reviews, you'll find them going down a rabbit hole that is not necessary, or people aren't going to want to hear about. Feel free to get up on your personal soapbox sometimes, but you've got to focus on what people are going to be interested in and what made this experience special or not special for you. Good one, James.
Good one.
Trev, number 5.
My tip is going to be proofread, and proofread some more. I mean, I think what I tell people is like, just accept that your first draft is probably hot garbage. That good writing comes from editing, rewrites, rewriting a sentence, stepping away, putting it down, especially when you're tired, putting it down, walking away, coming back at it the next day, and rewriting and just getting it right. I find that so often I can tell when a review's been submitted and it was just off the cuff, first draft, and it's just sort of a jumbled mess. I find that often good reviews are ones where the writer has just proofread the crap out of it, and you can just tell. There's like 0 mistakes, and they have carefully gone through every little sentence, and it shows. And I think that is something that I cannot reinforce enough. Yeah, proofread.
Excellent advice for any piece of writing, that one.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
My next point is a bit of a personal one, and it has to do with how I like to play games when I'm playing one for review. Usually, or Yeah, usually when you sit down with a game, you're doing it to enjoy it. You're doing it because you want to enjoy the experience. You want to just have this experience in front of you. When I sit down to review a game, I like to pretend in my head that I have played this game twice before. You are not playing this game for the first time, so because of that, you're going to be way more cognizant of what is happening in the game. You're going to be noticing the little things that aren't going to stand out from a broad overview. So you're really doing a deep dive from minute 1 all the way until the end of the game, really analyzing and taking this thing apart. So because you're doing that and you've got that mindset, you're going to pick out the little things that other people maybe aren't going to notice, or the things that people would come across in a game when they're playing it and not realize it's the reason that they don't like it or they do like it. If that makes sense.
That does make sense.
Number 7. James Paley on the stand.
My next tip circles back to the editing and drafting process. I find that if you're going over something and you don't know if it's good or if it needs more work or if it needs to be rewritten, a great way to find that out really fucking fast is to read it out loud. Because then, if it flows all fucky and doesn't make any sense, or the sentence structure is garbled and goes nowhere, you will notice immediately when you try to say it with your voice. I do that. I'm especially diligent about that if I'm doing something for a video review, because I'll do a practice run, and then in the midst of it, I'll be like, "Wow, that doesn't make sense. That's not something you can say in sequence and have it sound like a sentence." And that's a great way to discover very quickly whether something works or whether it doesn't.
I'm curious if you came across this point when you started doing video reviews or not, or if you were doing that before.
You know what? Honestly, this is something I figured out doing video reviews.
Yeah.
Because it's true. If you don't have to say it out loud, you're not going to notice if there's any flow problems. I'd read over it a bunch of times before and be like, is this fine? Is this fine? I don't know if this is fine. This might be fine. And sometimes I catch it, sometimes I don't. But if I'm reading it out loud,
Yeah, the perfect diction in your head doesn't always catch it. That's something as a video producer I'm doing all the time, is having to basically completely rewrite a review because it sounds perfectly fine when you read it in your head, but you just cannot spit it out into a microphone properly. So, yeah. There you go. That's a good one, James. Trev.
My next one is be objective. I mean, I think sometimes reviewers fall into a trap where they review a game, not so much what it is, but what they want it to be. And I think sometimes when writers are reviewing games, and not, most do a really fantastic job at this, but I think sometimes we can all fall into a trap where, they need to review the game that for not only the fans of the series, but for the average gamer as well. They got to consider all aspects. If I was, I've said on the podcast before that I'm not crazy about Bloodborne at all, that I find it particularly frustrating. That being said, I recognize just how good it is, how visually crisp it is, and even gameplay mechanics, that it's wonderful. It's just not my cup of tea. And so if I was hypothetically reviewing that is something I would address, that it has these aspects that I don't particularly like, but that these are some things that perhaps fans of Dark Souls games would enjoy, or even the average gamer that likes these sort of punishing games would enjoy. So I find that sometimes just being objective is ultra important when reviewing games.
It can be very, very challenging too,
yes.
Depending on the series and what you wanted it or expected it to be. The last time, personally, I came up against that, and I didn't review this for COG, but that was with the original Destiny, because the game did not line up with what they said it was going to be, and truth be told, it was a perfectly fine game, but had I reviewed it, I would have really struggled to separate what it was from what I wanted. Would have struggled mightily.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you don't want that.
No, you don't want that.
Well, yeah, and if I was reviewing, and I know Andrew's currently our review for the Hizzy will go live pretty soon. But yeah, I would really struggle to not compare it to Fortnite, to not compare it to PUBG, and to essentially see how it lines up against it. I mean, it's only natural you're going to compare it, but really you got to kind of take it for what it is and review it on its own merits, and just not let some of those biases creep into your review.
Mm-hmm. My next point kind of goes hand in hand with that, and that is that when you're writing a review, you have to ignore the score. You can't start writing with a score in mind, thinking
Absolutely.
that, you know, this game's it's an 8.5 or this game's a 9, and I'm going to write the review to match that. You've got to write what's in your heart, as stupid as that sounds, and really put all your thoughts on a page. And then what I like to do personally is not put a score on it and get a few other people to read it. Like I'll get Trev to read it. I might get my wife to read it and see what they think. Like, what does this read as? And does that line up with what I think the score should be? And if it doesn't align, why is that the case? Yeah, are there changes I need to make to the text, or are there things that I've left out that maybe I should put in to make it match up better? So yeah, ignore the score.
Yeah, for me that's almost impossible actually. Like when I'm sitting down with a game to review it, that fucking number will come unbidden into my mind in my moments of weakness. I'll like stop paying attention for a second. It's like, James, this is an 8 out of 10. I'm like, shut the fuck up. You don't know that.
Yeah, I'll admit I am guilty of the same thing. Like, I mean, for Madden, for instance, first thing I do is I look at last year's review. Okay, well, what did I give Madden last year? Okay, I gave it an 80, whatever I gave it. An 81 last year. Well, it's definitely better than last year, so I'm probably arriving somewhere in an 82, 83, maybe an 85. Yeah, that number definitely gets tossed around my head before I start writing, and it's probably... No, it's not. It's definitely not the way to go about it. That's for sure.
Well,
I like this.
For me, the number generally comes almost like subconsciously or whatever. Right?
Yeah,
It's just like
yeah,
it's like that first impression, initial judgment, and then what I have to do is say, okay, why did I think of that number? What about the experience so far has given me that impression? And then after careful consideration and like weighing of the various factors that I've decided to include in the review, I can say, well, you know what, actually that like knee-jerk reaction is pretty off, and I'm just like making an emotional judgment, and I should make an adjustment to my final score based on the things I've learned. Or like if like I'll be like, oh no, this might be like an 8 or in the 8 range, and then after playing it be like, oh well, yeah, but this sound was really fucky, and like this has been actually like really boring for a lot of it, and I'm like, a lot of this has been really unpleasant, and then all of this sort of like filters in, and then it's like, well, I mean, let's start knocking stuff off, and then it ends up being a completely different score than before because like that knee-jerk reaction turned out to be kind of wrong.
Yeah, you're right. It is really hard to completely put it out of your mind. So I guess the main point is that don't limit yourself to that, or don't have a number in your head and then try to write to that number.
Oh, yeah, you can't.
Yeah.
It won't work. You'll end up like twisting objective information around. You'll be like, yo, but I thought this part sucked, but I've already given it an 8, so I have to
it's pretty
massage
good.
that. Yeah, it's just like, yeah, you can't do that.
Alrighty, number 10, the last of the perfectly mediocre tips for video game reviewers.
I think the last thing that I would want to bring up for anybody doing game reviews, it's hard to say because we've covered a lot of ground. Play it like that, read the review out loud, find out if it sucks, be objective, ignore the score, focus on what matters to you, what stands out. I think actually a really important thing that happens to me almost every time I write a review for us for COG is when I'm like wrapped up, I'm done, I've written it or whatever, like the body of the text is finished, and then I'm going around to like actually in the back end and getting some stuff done, and it'll like gets to the part where I have to put in the 3 up, 3 down. And then I have to think about that. And like it's like suddenly new shit I had not even considered before is like popping up in my head. I'm like, what are 3 things you liked and didn't like? And like sometimes I have not really given my thoughts that kind of structure. And it like blows open like things that I hadn't even thought about. Like if I'm like sitting there, I don't know what my 3 things are I don't like, but I'll like, after I think about it, sometimes that can like change the fucking score for me because like, oh yeah, the controls, they were garbage. How did I not think of that? And then I'm like, I put it in, or I'm like, oh man, I really wish they'd done this differently, or like, or it'll make me look at the things that I didn't like and it makes me decide, was that really a big deal, or am I just reaching for something I don't like about the game? And it can even change the score for the better. Because I'm like, if this is the 3 things I don't like, none of this fucking matters. You're like, that can like actually make it go up.
Yeah, it's strange. Sometimes the good and bad are so easy to come up with, and then other times I really struggle to like come up with like, oh, okay, well, what did I really like feel that is defining, that is noteworthy here? And then I will come up with something, and I'll be like, oh, wait a minute, I didn't talk about that in the body of my review. That's a problem.
Yeah.
So then I'm back into the review, and I'm like, okay, well, I got to address this. In fact, I want to say that I had to do that recently for my Madden review. I had to jump back in and add an entire paragraph because I missed something that was definitely noteworthy. So, yeah.
Wow. This list turned out surprisingly well. I wasn't sure how this would go, but it looks pretty good.
And I guess I should say one more thing. The bonus tip, if there's a bonus tip, it should be have fun. Like, you should enjoy the process of playing the game and then putting your opinion on paper, and it'll be published, and it'll be on whatever website you put it on forever until after you're dead. It'll be there forever. So, yeah, enjoy that whole process and be proud of it, that your opinion on said game will be there forever.
And number 12 is never, ever, under any circumstances, read the comments. Never.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's like that's a great general rule for both creating content and consuming content. You know, feel like you're yeah. Ugh.
It's hard because you want to interact with people. That's engagement and interact is all very important for little websites like us. So you want to do that. But man, sometimes the toxicity is, it's unbearable. And you just have to back up.
Just back that truck up. Yes, get the hell out of Dodge.
Sometimes I open up the comments. Nope, I'm not going to close those right back up.
Man, YouTube is the worst. YouTube is the worst, especially like every so often I go in and I clean out the comments that have either been held for review or marked as spam. And boy, are there some hot takes in there. The hottest.
Oh yeah, they had a field day with some of those sports videos. Like, oh my God, they had a field day. But whatever, that's okay. I got thick skin.
Yeah. Trev, did you know that you're terrible? You're the worst. You're a savage.
The worst. Oh my God. You're absolute trash.
I think some of those I just started going through and responding, yes, I know. We know. It's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I think I qualify every single one of those videos. I told people, look, I don't play a lot of sports games. But I'm showing you the gameplay because, well, I got my hands on it early, and you're not going to be able to see this in many places. So, yeah, I kind of suck at NBA Live, but at least you get to watch some of the gameplay and, see what you can expect. But, yeah, whatever. They don't care. They just want to tell you how bad you are.
True.
But it's not all bad. There's a lot of positive comments too, which I'm thankful for. Thank you.
Oh, definitely. There's always positive comments out there.
Yeah, there's always positive comments.
It's the vocal minority that ruins it for the silent majority, as always. In summary, do not steal other people's writing. And
I don't recommend that.
If you're writing a review, you should follow our 11 simple steps to a competent and long-lasting review. For all ages. Sometimes. Most times.
Sometimes. Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, if you've come this far, thank you very much for listening. We truly, truly appreciate it. If you'd like to get in touch with us, you can find us on Facebook as Press X the Podcast, or you can email us, pressxpodcast@gmail.com. Anytime, any day, I will read them. I can't guarantee I'll respond to them. But, yeah, if I deem it worthy, we'll probably read it on the air, and we'll probably talk about it. So, if you got that burning question, feel free to fire it over. And, yeah, we'll do something with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do something with it. If that's pushing the trash button or the spam button, that might be it. But we might actually read it on the air, which would be cool for you and cool for us. Is there anything cool coming out next week?
I'd have to dig that up. I'm not sure. I think we're getting into this. I don't think much is happening next couple.
We're getting a little bit of breathing room, and then the September explosion happens, and then my God, what a month that's gonna be.
I'm gonna do a quick check. March, April, August.
Oh, we have Hollow Knight. We have Shenmue. We have Blade Strangers, Little Dragons Cafe.
F1 2018, Guacamelee 2.
There's some games on the horizon.
There's some games next week. So if you'd like to hear about those and probably whatever else comes to the top of our heads as we're sitting down here, you should come back next week and listen to episode number 29, which will scientifically be the best episode we've ever done. Every single one happens to be the best one ever. Thought you should know that.
It's an incredible phenomenon, but one that continues to occur every week without fail.
We have to keep inventing ratings because, by episode 10, we were at a 10 out of 10. So this week, we're actually at 28 out of 10. Trev's lungs can't handle it.
Yeah, that's...
I'm sneezing, I'm coughing, Oh yeah, you just gotta put me out of my misery.
All right, well, let's get out of here and take care of that. Until next time, it's been Paul, James, and Trevor. We will see you later. Peace out, everybody.
Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, God. Good Lord.